What do you think is the heaviest living thing on Earth? If you said a blue whale, you're not alone. But you'd be wrong. It's actually the tree, maybe even the one right outside your window. And it holds this really bizarre secret. Think about it for a second. It's one of those simple questions that just kind of breaks your brain. I mean, a 2,000-ton tree has to come from somewhere, right? It's got to be eating something. So if it's eating the ground, well, where are all the giant holes? You look around, and there just aren't any. Okay, just to really wrap our heads around that number, let's put it in perspective. A single massive tree can weigh as much as 10 blue whales. Yeah, 10. The biggest animals on the entire planet. And what's even crazier is that unlike a whale, a tree is hoisting all that weight, like 25 stories straight up into the sky.
So what's the deal?
Well, the answer is so much cooler and honestly weirder than you could probably imagine. See, trees don't get their mass from the soil at all. They are, and I mean this quite literally, built out of thin air. All right, so how on earth do you build a 2,000-ton giant out of, well, nothing? The whole process starts way, way up in the tree's crown, where you've got millions, and I mean millions, of tiny little factories all working at once. But here's the real challenge. You look at what air is actually made of, and the one ingredient a tree needs to build itself, carbon dioxide, makes up a measly, what is that, 0.04% of the atmosphere. That is practically nothing. It's kind of like trying to build a giant castle using just a few grains of sand you found on an entire beach.
So to get just 1 single ton of carbon, which is, the fundamental building block of life, a tree has to filter, get this, 6,000 tons of air. That is just an absolutely colossal amount of work. So how do they possibly pull that off?
Well, to solve this problem, trees basically evolved to become masters of industry. You have to stop thinking of their crowns as just a bunch of branches. They're more like these massive, sprawling, industrial megalopolises is the perfect way to put it. They're like entire cities of factories, with hundreds of thousands of leaves all working together in perfect unison.
And if you zoom in, each individual leaf is like its own perfectly designed factory. You've got this transparent skin on top that lets the sunlight pour in. Then there are the factory cells, packed with all the machinery. A spongy layer in the middle lets all the gases move around freely. Then you've got these superhighways, the veins, that transport water up and sugars down. And finally, on the bottom, there are hundreds of thousands of these tiny little mouths called stomata, and their job is to breathe in that crucial CO2.
Okay, so this is where the real magic happens. The process is called photosynthesis, and you probably remember it from school. The leaf factory uses energy from the sun to split water molecules apart. It kicks out the oxygen and then forges that carbon dioxide into glucose. And this simple sugar, glucose, is everything to the tree. It's both the battery that powers the whole operation and the literal brick that builds its massive structure. And hey, while we're talking about oxygen, here's a fun little fact for you. We always think of trees as the planet's lungs, right? And yeah, they produce a lot of oxygen, but they also use a lot of it themselves. The vast majority of the oxygen we breathe doesn't actually come from forests. It comes from tiny, tiny organisms like algae and cyanobacteria out in the oceans. Kind of wild, huh? So, okay, trees build themselves out of the sky. Mystery solved. We can all go home now, right? Not even close. Because think about it. Building a city requires way more than just bricks. You need other materials, you need infrastructure, and this, my friends, is where the story gets even more insane. So to really get the rest of this story, we have to look down. We have to go underground to the tree's second crown, the one that's totally invisible to us, its vast underground empire of roots. There's this common misconception that the roots just mirror the branches, right? Like a reflection. But that's not true at all. They have a completely different strategy. While the crown is reaching up for light and air, the roots are spreading out wide, forming this dense, tangled mat, always searching that top layer of soil for water and those other vital minerals. And to navigate this, totally chaotic underground world, the very tip of each and every root is an incredible little sensor. It can feel gravity, so it knows which way is down. It can detect moisture, changes in temperature, even subtle chemical trails in the soil. And get this, it can even pick up on the tiniest vibrations from flowing water. It's not just passively growing, it's an active, almost intelligent explorer. But here's the thing, a lot of the really crucial nutrients aren't just sitting in the soil. They're locked away inside solid rock. So what do roots do? They became miners. First, they infiltrate the tiniest cracks they can find. Then, they pump themselves full of water, acting like little hydraulic jacks to literally shatter the rock from the inside out. After that, they release special acids to dissolve the nutrient bonds, and then they use these claw-like molecules to snatch up the goods. It is an incredibly sophisticated operation. But even with all of this incredible rock-shattering technology, the tree still can't get everything it needs all on its own. To truly, truly thrive, it needs allies. And it found them in the most unexpected of places. What it does is form a powerful trade alliance with these vast underground fungal networks. And the deal is actually pretty simple. The tree, which is now super rich with all that sugar it's making from the air, trades that food to the fungi. And in return, the fungi act as these master miners, going out and getting water and all those hard-to-get nutrients from the soil for the tree. It's a perfect partnership. And fungi are the absolute perfect partners for this. They're so incredibly fine that they can slip into tiny spaces between grains of soil where roots could never go. They form these really intricate connections. Sometimes they grow right into the root cells to create these little trade posts. Other times they just wrap around the root tips, almost like a protective glove. And what's really amazing is they connect many different trees together, creating this huge network. And the scale of this partnership, I mean, it is just staggering. Listen to this. For every single kilometer of a tree's own roots, there can be hundreds of kilometers of its fungal allies networking through the soil. Hundreds! It's basically a hidden living internet right there beneath our feet. So you see, a tree isn't just a tree. It's really just the visible part, the heart, if you will, of this absolutely massive system that connects the sky, the soil, and this entire hidden web of allies. And the crazy part is we are only just beginning to truly understand this incredible living structure. It just leaves you wondering, doesn't it? If something we see every single day, something as common as a tree, holds this much mind-blowing complexity, what other enormous secrets are hiding all around us, in plain sight, just waiting for us to notice?